We know that Fallout 76 will be 4 times larger than Fallout 4, but how does that translate to an online game? Hey guys, JV here, and today we're discussing the map in Fallout 76. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more Fallout 76 videos, and head on over to my Facebook page for our Fallout 4 Survival Mode playthrough streamed live. Before we start, a few things to keep in mind. This video wouldn't be possible without a few Reddit posts on RFO76. First is from Oscar Lot, who cropped together this really detailed map from all of the footage that we've seen so far. This is what we have right now on August 17th. The second, and the inspiration for this video, comes from user ZDepthCharge, who also contributed to that map, but brought up a really good point on the subreddit yesterday. Both posts are linked in the description below for your reference. Once again, ZDepth made a great post about map density in Fallout 76 and how often we might expect to run into other players. This is a concern for a lot of the community because a lot of us don't really want to play an online Fallout game. We don't want to have to run into other people unless we have to, but this is a reality that we're going to have to deal with until private servers come out. And so BGS has said over and over that the world is huge, but that doesn't give us any frame of reference. Fortunately, we do have Fallout 4, and we know that Fallout 76 is essentially the multiplayer version of 4. So we can run around the map in 4, and that gives us a pretty good reference of how big it's going to be and how often we'll run into other players. So ZDepth took a map of Fallout 76 and applied what he calls a false average player density. This is assuming there will be 32 players per server, which is the maximum player count that Bethesda has mentioned so far. They've said they don't want hundreds, this is a wasteland, you don't want to run into people constantly, but there needs to be enough people in the map for it to, function as an online game. And ZDepth points out that obviously this is not how things will work in the live game. Players will cluster, they'll group together in teams, there will be high traffic areas where you'll find more players, it'll be more dense. But this is just, for example purposes and to kind of get a frame of reference. Since once again, we do know that the map is going to be around 4 times larger than Fallout 4, he applies the same player density map to Fallout 4, but quadruples that map. And this is what we end up with. Once again, this is a very, very speculative, rough look at what we could see in Fallout 76. Do not take this to heart. The math, the measurements, all of that stuff could be way off. Zooming in a bit to the map of Fallout 4, we can see there's a marker right around Red Rocket, and the closest point to that marker is the heart of Lexington. So I thought it would be cool to walk that distance, or, lightly run, not sprint, but the normal just default running speed from Red Rocket to Lexington and see how long that takes. And of course, we're not going to sit around and watch that, but I sped up the entire process and it took me 3 minutes and just over 7 seconds in order to walk that distance. So if you translate that over to Fallout 76, you might be at the closest a 3-minute run to another player, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot. We're going to be questing, we're going to be doing all kinds of things, going to specific locations for whatever reason. So it's not like we're going to only be operating in our own player space and you've got a 3-minute bubble. I totally realize that. But this gives us a pretty good idea of how far away we're going to be spaced out. I was curious, so I decided to do another running test. This time I went from Red Rocket all the way down to this mass fusion dump site, which is, again, one of the 2 distances between markers on the speculative average player density. So I did this one and it clocked in at over 6 minutes. So that's an even further distance, more than double what we did before from Red Rocket to Lexington. So obviously you could just take whatever it takes to run across Fallout 4 and then quadruple it, and that would give you what you can do in Fallout 76. So estimates are like 10 to 12 minutes. I don't know. It's been actually hard for me to find that myself without doing it myself. So I'm gonna just settle with 12 minutes for the example of this video. So if it takes 48 minutes for us to run across Fallout 76, that's a huge map. Let's compare that to Skyrim, for example, which takes around 30 to 35 minutes. I've seen different estimates there, but if you're going from one very end to another very end, it's going to take you at least 30 minutes. So we're looking at Fallout 76 being larger than Skyrim. We know Skyrim's a pretty large map, but it's less dense, so they kind of get away with it. Fallout 4 is much more dense by comparison. From what we can see from the map that's been shown off and just the general knowledge of West Virginia, we're going to have some less dense areas. There's going to be some, fields and whatnot. There's a little bit of water. Thank goodness there's not as much water. That means more landmass for us to explore. Personally, this is just fine with me. I mean, larger maps are awesome, and the fact that this is an online game means that we're going to need more space to kind of operate in because, again, they've said they want this to feel like a wasteland. At E3, Todd said, we don't want people jumping around, dancing. We don't want huge gatherings of people. Obviously, it's cool that that's possible. We could get 32 people in a very close, tight space, and that's really cool, but that's not really how the game is supposed to feel. And so I'm totally satisfied with this. This is plenty of room for me to operate in and kind of do my own thing. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. In the comment section below, let me know, is this big enough for you? Is the map in Fallout 76 going to be big enough for you to enjoy your own Fallout experience, however you want to play the game? Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed the video, remember to subscribe for more Fallout 76 content, and be sure to check out my Facebook page for our Fallout 4 Survival Mode playthrough streamed live. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.